going to show you how to get rid of this bin. I've chosen the bin as an example because it goes off screen, and tracking something that goes off screen can be problematic. First of all, we go into the Fusion page and we've got drag the output. You click on that and drag it and it'll show the output. Now we need to work on, well, we don't need to, but it's better to work on a frame that's somewhere in the middle, as long as the area that you want to get rid of is still visible. Obviously, if it went off screen before this point, it would be snookered. We start by painting over this area. So we need a paint node. Now the way to get any of the nodes is to click Shift and Spacebar, and a requester comes up. It happens to come up on another of my monitors, so I have to drag it in for you to see, but it should just come up for you. And if you start to write paint there, P-A-I-N, paint, you click on it, it puts it into the requester and you add it, and it's added it in the wrong place. Now that doesn't matter because you just disconnect it, and there are two ways of connecting it. One way is to have this one highlighted when you request it, and it will go into the line. If you mess up like I just have, you can disconnect it and then connect it longhand. Right, there is also another method, and that's the line, and you want this to be in that line. Hold it over the line like that and press the Shift key, and you see how it lights up differently. See, lights up, and you let go of your mouse button and there it is. You wiggle it to make sure it's in contact. So the tool is showing up as green on green grass, so it's not easy. So I'll hold it over that bit there and you can see we've got a tool there. Now I'm going to use the central mouse button to scroll in, and you hold the mouse button down and drag to move. So that's the area that we're going to work on. Now we can make it a bit bigger, although it's not really necessary. Now then, the tool we're using is the clone tool, and it's over here in the inspector. Clone tool, click on it. We then need to choose our brush, which is up here on the left, stroke brush. And if you've ever used Photoshop or any other program that uses a brush to stamp over something, this is exactly the same method. And we click Alt, hold it over where you want it to be, sampling from, click Alt and then left mouse button. You can see it turns red. It's going to pick up from that little red and put it down wherever you want. So you could put it down here, but that's not where we want it. We want it to be vertically down to create that crease down the middle. So if we now click here, you can see it's actually reproducing the crease in its proper place. So that's where this bay connects up, and so it's very slightly out of line, and that's my fault. So if I do it that way, right, and now we can paint over the rest. It's painting from the little X to the little circle. Okay, now, so I'm clicking and releasing, and we've got the majority of the bin has disappeared. I'm going to go carefully down the bricks. You could be more precise with this, but I don't think it's going to be necessary. I'm sort of doing it by hand, coming down gradually, close up to the brick. Don't want to eat into the bricks because that might not look right. I think that's probably good enough, because I'm not going to try and reproduce all this here. I'm going to actually pick up some of this bush and stamp it. So if I start somewhere here, click Alt, click, leaves a little X, and we will then utilize that to create a bush, and it's reproducing from the little red X to the red circle, and we've got a little bush there, and you can make it irregular if you like, but these bushes are fairly evenly curved anyway. That's the way they've been trimmed. So I would say that that's good enough. Actually, it doesn't look right there. We'll pick up some of this darker area here and put it here, and it should look a little bit more realistic. I've overdone it there, so I'll put something back there. So I think that bush looks fairly authentic with the shadow under it. Right, so that has covered up the bin, and that's a new bush. We now need to make a still of the whole frame in order to be able to create a patch to cover that up. We will make a still of it by highlighting this here and going Shift spacebar again, and this time we want to type in time, T-I-M-E, time, and it's time speed that we require. So you click on that, add, and it's added it in the right place there. Because this was highlighted, it's gone after that. So time speed is able to, as long as we're on our reference frame, which I put it on at the beginning, you need to keep it on that reference frame, and I had it on 100. We need to type in that number here, the 100. So we rub that out and put 100. Right, this here, we need to alter that to 0. So we click that out and put in a 0. So we've now got 0 is its speed. We don't want it moving, we want a still of frame 100 in this clip. So that's that. We can now disconnect that from the output and connect the media in to the media out again, and that gives us our it's bypassing this for the moment, and within this here we need a merge node, and so that's, again, we can type it in, but there is a merge node available here. I've got lots of other tools that I've programmed in, the ones that I use, but this one is there by default, merge, so you can click on that and pull that down, and we'll put it into this line here. So again, it's Shift, line it up till they light up, and there we have it again. Wiggle it to make sure it's connected. So that there is in a good position. Now we need to use a tracker, and we use the planar tracker. So I'm not going to, none of these are now highlighted, so that when I do shift spacebar and the requester comes up, I can start to type in, you can do track if you like, TRA tracker, but we want the planar tracker. So it's there, click on it, it's in the requester, add, it puts it into the window. Now, let's get that up there. We need to know what that is going to track from the original. So this is the media in. So you put the media into the into the input of the planar tracker. The inputs are all yellow. That's what they are. Outputs are all little squares. These other ones have other functions. We'll come to that later. So we've got the planar tracker, and we need to track this bin to be able to cover it up. So because we've got that highlighted, it now gives us this cross that we can use to track this bin. So we go around the bin, and you've got to complete the circle. You see how it lights up there with a little X. Right, now this is how people would normally select that to track. The problem is, once it's off screen, it can't track it. So it tends to give up tracking at about this point here. So it means that you've got a piece of the bin on screen, and it can't get rid of it. And I've discovered that if you let it track something to its left, because it's going off the screen to the right, it will continue to track this area, and by that time this bin is well off screen. So let's see how that goes. We're still on frame 100 with the planar tracker highlighted. We go over to here and it's got planar tracker up here in the tools. We need to tell it the reference time, and the reference time is this here, the 100. So if you press set, because it's already in 100 at 100 frame, press set, it puts 100 in there, so that's fine. Anytime it now goes off that, you can press go and it'll go to the reference time. So we can now track that, and if you watch it go, it'll go off screen and it'll continue, all being well, tracking this area here, and the bin will be well off. So if we track forwards to the end, it's tracking it, but it's not showing you that I've got the wrong screen showing. Let's go back to 100, and I think we have to have that showing. Right, let's see how that goes. There you go. So it's tracking it, and the bin's gone off screen before it leaves this little bit here that it couldn't track because there's not enough information. But it doesn't matter because the bin's gone off screen. And I worked that out because I'd done it several times in practice, trying to work out how's the best thing to do things. Sometimes the thing would go off screen and it'd be well tracked. Other times it'd leave a bit of the bin behind. And I couldn't at first work out what it was, and it turned out that when I tracked a larger area, so I now track to one side depending on which side of the screen it's going off, of course. If we now press go, it goes back to the reference. We can now ask it to track back towards the front, in other words, in reverse, which it's doing. And we've got all these little keyframes here. So it's tracked. Now, because it's tracked, we need to use the information from that to feed these things here, the paint thing, etc. And the information that that's now got for tracking is stored here, planar transform. So if we click that, we need it twice. So I'm going to click it twice. They reproduce one on top of the other, but I need one here, and then later on I need one down here. Both these planar transforms have got the information in them that's been gleaned from this planar tracker. So we can now pipe this into here. So we go the output to the input, and the output of this one doesn't go to the input, it goes to this green one here, because if you hover over it, it's foreground. So it will merge the foreground, in other words, the whatever is on above it, in a sense, a bit like a layer. And what we need to do now is cut out a patch from that still that's been created here. So we cut out the patch by using this tool here, which is the polygon tool. Something to do with parrots, I think, when your parrots disappeared out of the cage. Anyway, with that highlighted, we now go to the area that we need to create a patch, and that area is here. So with that highlighted, I will scroll in on it and we'll create a patch, and I'm going to create the patch of a bigger area than we need. Right, got to cover this here. You do not want to cut into your painted area. Come round here. Okay, now at this point we do not want to come over here. We need to keep it away from there, because it would try, and you've got to make a complete circle again of this. The reason I've done that as a line there is that if there were any chance that this might show a line, a horizontal line in the brickwork wouldn't look so bad, would it? And it being up there underneath the, you know, in line with the windows. So it's just a thought that it might look better if it were to show. Now you don't want to be too close. Your patch doesn't want to be close up. The reason is that you want to be able to soften the edge. So I'll show you that in a minute. You could soften it now, but you can't see by how much. So we've now got that. We can now pipe this transform into the blue. Now the blue, if you hover over it, is the effect mask, which is what we're doing. We're masking it, and we pipe the polygon into the input of that. Right, now if we were to go to the polygon again and to the soft edge, if I increase the softness of the edge, you will see that if you go too far, the softness creeps in from the outside, it creeps inwards, and it's creeping in and allowing you to see what is below it. So if you take it too far, you move it back till it disappears, and then perhaps back a little tad. Okay, so hopefully now, if you watch the output in there and we play it, it's tracking it. Okay, so we'll stop that for a second and we'll go into our edit page and bring the cursor back. Now if it stutters a bit here, it's not because it's going to stutter, it's because it is writing all the information to disk, and you can see this red line is disappearing and becoming blue. If you get a stutter out of it, it'll be because there's a bit that it hasn't written to the disk. I've given it time to do it now, so it should actually play back relatively smoothly. And I will go into full screen and play it, and we can see how it does. And there you go. And it goes off screen as clean as you like. That's how it's done, folks. That's it. I hope that's helpful. See you next time.